Hey guys, Becky here, FiveTwoBaker. Welcome back to my channel. So I am in full swing Valentine's mode and so excited to share with you guys some simple little romantic looking roses. You can go every which way with this, but I went somewhere super simple. Let me show you. Here I have just 4 roses, a few quick little leaves that I put together, and it makes this beautiful little half wreath going on this cake. I absolutely love it so much. I think you're really going to enjoy this, so let's get right to it. We're going to start off by coloring our sugar paste, and I'm going to use just a tiny bit of ivory to get a beautiful nude color because I think it's so romantic that way. Knead it in, and then using about a 26 gauge wire, cut it to size and give them all little hooks at the top. For half of them, I'm going to use a little center bud, and that's because these will be my bigger roses, so I want them to have something more to latch onto than just a wire. I formed that bud by making it a teardrop shape, and then I pushed the wire through the fatter end. To give you some perspective, that's about how big the bud is in comparison to the size of the cutter that I'll be using for all of the petals. Then I go ahead, roll out the rest of my flower paste and cut out a bunch of petals all the same size. I'm going to thin them out just a bit more with the fat end of a rolling ball tool. And then I go ahead and put them all into my veiner. The veiner is optional. They're really small, so it's up to you whether you want to vein them or not, but I really love the veins on the flowers, so I go ahead and do that for all of them. Now the number of petals you need is up to you. The smallest amount that I would use is about 3, and then the most I would use in a single flower is about 9, so however many you want to make, go with it. Once they're all veined, I use the smaller end of the rolling ball tool to give them a little bit of ruffle, and so just across the edge of the petal with the rolling ball tool half on, half off the petal, I give them a little roll, all in different directions so they have each different wave, shape, and movement. Now we're going to add them to the wire. So for the very small ones, I just go ahead and put some edible glue on the bottom half of the petal, put my little hook on one end, and then I roll it up like a little burrito. For the next 3 petals that I put on top, I'm going to put some edible glue on the lower left-hand side for all of them because that's the side I want to glue first. I don't want to glue the entire bottom because I want to be able to layer these petals. So I put one, then I put another one inside of that, and I go the same with the third. And then I go ahead and wrap them all around. This also helps me to keep the top more open and loose so I don't have a tight flower. Pinch the bottom and then set it off to dry. Now for the larger rose, the one that will have more petals and has the center bud, you go ahead and add some glue to the entire bud. Not too much, you just want to make it tacky. And then you grab whichever petal you want for your center and you wrap it all the way around so that the bud is hidden. All you see is a beautiful shape. Now for the next 3 petals, we're going to do the same as with the small rose. Just glue the lower left-hand side and begin to layer them. Again, we want this to be loose and open and wild, so you glue the rest of the petal down. Once you have the shape that you have all set, then you go ahead and just adhere it so it doesn't end up falling off. For all the petals after this, I go ahead and glue the very bottom tip so that it stays on, but all of the top is super open and flowy. In these, I just go ahead and hold my rose upside down and start to layer them that way, and I leave it to dry this way. The other thing that helps are the ruffles. The ruffles help keep it nice and open and loose. The next thing that we need for tiny roses are tiny calyxes. So using some green paste on the smallest little calyx cutter that I have, I just pop that out. Next, I just thin it out a bit more on the edges so that it doesn't look too chunky. Nothing fancy here, and then I go ahead and pop it onto my roses. All I do is prick it with the wire right in the middle, and then I add some glue in the center and about halfway up each of the little calyx leaves, and then I press it onto the flower and then give it a gentle press with my fingers to make sure it's really stuck on there. Flip it back upside down and let it keep drying. Now to color it, I'm going to use a very light shade of pink. This one is called Baby Pink, and then I'm going to add just a tiny amount of brown to it to give it a little bit of an age look, just a little bit. You want to have your petals be firm enough to take your brush. You don't want them flopping around, so do let these dry enough. And then what I'm doing is just dabbing it on the very edge of each of the petals and then dragging whatever color is left down the petal. I don't want to color the entire petal, I just want mostly the edges and then some color coming in from it, just to highlight each petal. I'll do that with both roses. And that's what they look like. You see it had some shades of brown. The pink will pop more in the daylight. It was night when I filmed this, so you don't see it very much, but it's there. Next, we're doing the leaves, and we're doing some super simple leaves. So I'm just using a dahlia cutter that I have in the smallest size. Pop those out, thin them out a bit, and then put a few in the rose leaf veiner that I have at a time. You can use whatever veiner you have or none at all. These are tiny, so either way it'll be cute. Take those right out, and then using a 30 gauge wire that's dipped in glue, I just go ahead and taco these leaves into place. I just want something quick and easy. I'm going to be making a bunch of these, so I don't want to spend too much time, and they're super tiny, so it's all right. Now to color these, you could dust them, but I'm just using some juniper green gel food color mixed with some food grade alcohol and painting them. Make sure to paint with the grain, not the way I did here. It'll make a difference. Now once everything is dry, you go ahead and form multiple little branches. Not all of them need flowers. Some of mine have only one flower. It's mostly leaves that I wanted, so just form as many branches as you can, and then grab a carrier wire to set the form of your arch to match your cake. My carrier wire is 18 gauge and it's wrapped in brown floral tape. Once I have the shape and all of my branches, I go ahead and set them in the shape that I want, and I make sure that each of my flowering branches are not completely straight. I want it to look natural, so I give each of them some little gnarly movements, and I make sure to tape them in just one spot so that they retain all of that movement and aren't too held together. Most of them I ended up taping towards the middle because that's just where it held the best weight to tape it. And that's it. After that, you just use a little hook wire and find the best place on your cake to prop it on. Super quick and super easy. And that's what it looks like on the cake. Not an incredible picture, but looks super romantic. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, if you have any questions, please do drop them down in the comments below and I'll make sure to get back to you. If you thought this was helpful, do give me a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I would super appreciate that. And I will see you guys for the next tutorial.